It's now December and we still have no word on the lineup for Reading and Leeds 2023, which means an announcement's imminent. One could drop literally any second. Hence why I've rushed through making this video to try and get it out as soon as possible. In this video, I'm finally going to be giving you my Reading and Leeds 2023 prediction poster, as well as my wish list for what I want to see this year.
Of body paint on your legs and on your arms and on your face. There's still a trace of body paint on your legs and on your arms and on your face. So predictable, I know what you're thinking.
So we'll start with the wish list, the things I want to see, and what better way to start than with the headliners. So for the Friday, I've gone with Dua Lipa and Foles. I think this would be a proper dance day, just have everyone buzzing, everyone in good spirit. Get Foles on to appeal to all the indie kids, as well as some of like the older crowd, and just get everyone boogieing before sending them over to East Stage for Dua Lipa to close the night on a proper high. I think at the moment this is my dream combo for Reading and Leeds. This is like a day that I want more than any other day right now. For my Saturday headliners, I've got Doja Cat on first, followed up by My Chemical Romance. That in my eyes should be like the big ticket sales statement for the year. That's like the Arctic Monkeys booking, that is. You've obviously got My Chem who are going to do their thing and it'll be a huge spectacle. And then for all the people that aren't into that, they'll go and see Doja and they can end their night there, and the rest of us will trek over to that field to belt out the words to every single My Chemical Romance song under the sun. And then my final two headliners on the Sunday will be Kendrick Lamar, and I know this one's an out there choice, but Idols, I think they have a headline show in them. Now Kendrick's pretty straightforward. Obviously he's going to close the night and he'll be the big rap headliner. I've never seen him before, I'd love to. I have seen Idols, however, and I've watched hours upon hours of live footage from places like Glasgow and all the other festivals they've been doing. I genuinely think they could smash it as like an out there headliner pick, a proper underdog choice. Their songs are massive and I'd just love to see their show on like such a grand scale as like a headline slot with all that backing and production that goes into it. Realistically, it's not like they're closing the whole show either, so they technically aren't really headlining, so I think, yeah, why not? Let's give them a go. Next, I want to add some like bigger sub-headline names to each day to sort of buff out the lineup and cover any basis that the headliners don't already. In the order they'll be on stage, I've added to the Friday Wet Leg, Becky Hill, JME and Two Door Cinema Club, with Dua Lipa and Foles headlining. So I wanted to make this an all-out pop day, and Becky Hill's kind of the perfect big pop name to throw into a day like that. Two Door Cinema Club are like a big indie name, but they fit in with that disco-y electronic pop stuff that I'm sort of packing this day up with. Having them, I think, would really complement both headliners. It reinforces that whole just pop thing that I'm going for. I wanted to also chuck like a grime artist in there to make up this year for the lack of like a grime headliner, and I felt JME realistically is like of a size where he could sub-headline and have a decent crowd. So although it might be a stretch to have him high up, I genuinely do reckon most of the R&L crowd are going to know JME and they're going to go along to see that. And lastly, to cover that TikTok like viral act that R&L have been chasing for the past few years, I'm going to throw in Wet Leg. They missed out in 2022, which was a huge blow, a big missed opportunity, because they had such a good year as well in 2022. I think it's very likely that we're going to see them at the festival in 2023. And the thing is, they're actually really good as well. And then for the Saturday, my sub-headliners are Central C, Mabel, Olivia Rodrigo and Youngblood. Central C's a no-brainer for the festival this year. It's like everything he touches turns to gold at the minute. To have him essentially opening for Doja Cat, I think that's such a sick marketing move. Mabel's great. I'd love to have her back this year in like a mid to late afternoon slot, kind of fill in the absence of like a Charlie XCX. Olivia Rodrigo, another no-brainer for this year. She's essentially becoming the next Billie Eilish at this point, so now's a good time to hop on it and get her on as like a daytime act before inevitably in like a few years she's going to be headlining. I feel like there's also a place for her on this day specifically. I like how that sounds next to Doja, and I like how it sounds next to My Chemical Romance. Same with Youngblood. Youngblood really knows how to work a crowd, and that's what I took away from his 2021 set, which was one of the standouts of the weekend, if I'm genuinely honest. I'm genuinely surprised they didn't put him on in 2022. But that opens it right up for him to play in 2023. Coming out of this Sunday, where I've got Don Broco, Slow Tie, Fontaines, DC, and Future. I see Don Broco requested for this festival every single year, and I love it. I love to see them back next year. I adore that band. It could be just a nice, loud, energetic opener for a day that's going to be topped by Idols, who are both of those things. Slow Tie, very Reading and Leeds act. Although I'm not a fan of him, he does work for fans of both headliners on that day. He's going to have the Kendrick fans on side just by being a decent UK rapper, but he's also probably able to cross over and catch a bunch of those alternative punk fans that are going to be there for Idols and Fontaines. Fontaines are amazing. They deserve to be back next year. They were great in 2022's festival, and they have so much more to give. I can sense it. They were probably one of the most talked about bands on that original lineup when it came out, so I can definitely see Reading and Leeds keeping them for a second year. And then finally Future, big rap name, and I think he works here as a sub-headliner. I'm not convinced that he could headline and sell it, but he'd be great to have on though as the last act before the headliner start, and it fits really well on that stage between Slow Tie and Kendrick. Before I get any further, I want to add some special guest slots. I'm not too sure how Reading and Leeds actually choose these or what qualifies as a special guest, but I've just gone with one per day, so there's going to be 3 special guest slots here. On the Friday, I've gone with Lewis Capaldi. He's set to have a big 2023. Now we know he's releasing an album. He's been off the grid for a while, but I'm expecting him to just take over this year again, like he did that first time round. For the Saturday special guest, I've gone with Lil Nas X. Huge. But I don't think he's at that level of headlining yet, so I think he'd be a pretty cool daytime act, similar to how Juice WRLD was in 2019, or maybe KSI in 2021. My Sunday special guest is a similar vibe as Lil Nas X, currently kind of having a bit of a comeback with his new tune, and it's Fetty Wap. I would genuinely see Fetty Wap at Leeds Fest. I don't know about anyone else, but I would genuinely dig that. I think he fits the tone perfectly. He's another good daytime, just throwaway act, or just act as someone to see. And to be honest, Fetty Wap has bangers, man. He's got so many bangers. But yeah, that's the main bulk of everything. So that's all my special guests, my headliners and sub-headliners. Only thing left to do now is top it up with a few artists just to buff out those days a bit more. I'll blast through them dead quick. I've added Corrupt FM Sports Team, Anne-Marie and Beach Bunny on the Friday. Got Hot Milk, Twin Atlantic, Paris and Pink Pantheress for the Saturday. And then Thundercat, Shame, Michael Kiwanuka and The Hunter for the Sunday. And that is my complete wish list. So whilst there's stuff in there that I definitely bet on, a lot of that's pretty unrealistic because we just never get anything that simple and obvious. But now I'm going to try and predict the lineup the way I actually think it's going to look. I think 2023 is a hard one to predict because we literally just have no start point. Obviously in 2022 we basically knew that Arctic Monkeys and Dave were going to be there, and then it leaked Bring Me the Horizon will be there, and we predicted Rage Against the Machine or someone similar. This year there's no real locked in acts from day one. There's maybe 10 acts floating around and maybe 2 that I think are probably locked in, and even then I can't even decide which 2 those would be. I think the names to choose from are Paramore, Gorillaz, Muse, Blink-182, Foles, Billie Eilish, MGK, My Chemical Romance, Sam Fender and Travis Scott. That to me is the 10 options, and it's now just about working out realistically who goes there. The first thing I want to do is split these up into big headliners and small headliners just to make it a bit easier. My big ones would probably be Gorillaz, Muse, Blink-182, Billie Eilish, My Chem and Travis Scott. My small ones are probably going to be Foles, Sam Fender and MGK, and then I reckon Paramore will be one of either. They could be the big headliner or a small headliner, just depending who else is on the day. But I do think one of the days is going to be Billie Eilish and Paramore, which would then make Paramore the lower down one and leave Billie to close the night. That sounds to me like something they'd do. It kind of reminds me of Bring Me the Horizon playing the lower down one due to the fact that they shared that night with the Monkeys. Even though in any other scenario Bring Me the Horizon would be a top headliner. So I'm putting Billie and Paramore as my Friday headliners. I feel like there's a lot of buzz around Foles to headline, and I agree they should get that slot. So I'm giving them the Saturday lower slot I still think they should go for like a pop mainstream energy, just like in my wish list. So I reckon Travis Scott might take that higher slot alongside them. It also means you get a rapper in there in like the big three, which seems to be the trend with this 6 headline thing. You always get a rapper as one of the big three. As well, it makes sense as Foles are going to be supporting Paramore this year. So if they're in the same place and both able to headline, you might as well just kill 2 birds with 1 stone, especially if all these rumours about Festival Republic struggling for headliners have any truth to them. I apologise profusely for the next name I'm about to give you. I think MGK might have a shot at headlining this year, unfortunately. I think that's the most far out choice by a mile. I think they're all more likely than that. But I do think there's a possibility he could open that headline slot on the Sunday, followed by either Blink-182 or Muse. I've gone with Muse here just based on the fact it's too obvious to have MGK and Travis Barker share a headline slot. It narrows it down way too much. I think it just sort of relegates this to a pop punk day if you do that. So I don't think they will do that. I think Muse probably take that slot. In fact, even that's a bit of a stretch. I reckon I'll swap Muse and Travis Scott so that you go Foles into Muse and then MGK into Travis. I think that works slightly better. Sub-headliners. I've gone with Wet Leg, Don Broco, Block Party and Olivia Rodrigo on the Friday. Block Party is supporting Paramore on tour, so that kind of makes sense here. On the Saturday, I've added Fontaines DC, Frank Carter and the Rattlesnakes, the Wombats and Idols. That day's just going to be high energy, I reckon. I think balls to the wall rock and roll that's going to set up Muse and Foles perfectly. We've had like a long needed break from the Wombats in 2022. It's like the first time in like 4 years they didn't play. But I reckon it's time for them to return now. They've had a pretty good year. Fair play, bring them back, let's go. Last but not least for the Sunday, I've added the Lathams, Central C, the Kid Laroi and Youngblood. I'm not sure all of these sub-headliners will be spot on, to be fair. I've definitely missed some obvious names across the board. That's who I think the festival are going to be drawn to, at least, based on like who the headliners are and based on sort of people they've had in the past. I think those could be solid sub-headline choices. I've also topped up each day with 8 other names that I think are going to be here to some capacity. I'm going to blast through them all really quickly. So on Friday, I've got Courtin, Gale, The Hunter, Inhaler, Pale Wave, Sleeping with Sirens, Panic at the Disco and Shame. Saturday sees RD, Alfie Templeman, Panic Shack, Oliver Tree, Piri and Tommy, Red Rum Club, Sports Team and Tom Grennan. And then on Sunday, I've got Anne-Marie, Jamie Webster, Bad Boy Chiller Crew, KSI, Nathan Daw, Talia Mar, Yard Act, and the Snuts. And that's it. There's the final poster. It's on the screen now. That's my prediction for Reading and Leeds 2023. Down below, let me know what 6 acts you want to see headline, as well as the 6 acts you think will be announced. Like I said, the lineup's not that far away, so when it comes out, I'll be aiming to get some kind of live reaction on the channel as soon as possible. So stay tuned for that. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.